Hello everyone and welcome to the first live webinar by eForensics magazine. My name is Bartek Kadach and I'm responsible for organizing online courses mostly for Pentest magazine and for Hakin magazine, but also the most recent course of eForensic, which is instructed by Ms. Afshan Naqvi, who is present with us today. Hello Afshan, how are you doing?
Hey, hello everyone. Hey.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello everyone.
Afshan is a skilled professional in cybersecurity, currently working as an OSINT analyst at an Israeli firm. She is adept at gathering insights from open source information. Beyond her analytical role, Afshan is a cybersecurity instructor at SOC experts at security.io organizations, where she brings real-world understanding to her teaching. Her previous experience as an AWS administrator adds to her expertise, backed by her AWS Cloud Practitioner certification and involvement in the AWS Community Builder program. And I have a pleasure to inform that this is yet another course instructed by Afshan for us, because previously she has designed and instructed a course for Pentest Mag entitled Mastering Splunk, and also AWS Security Essentials for Hacking.
Hakin9.
Yeah, and also with us we have Mr. Staford Titus. Staford published multiple interesting articles and case studies and tutorials for us. He was also an instructor of the AWS course for Pentest magazine entitled Defending the Clouds. Staford is a passionate and versatile cybersecurity analyst who has also graduated the master's studies at the New York University. Hello, Staford.
Hey, Bartek. Hey guys, how you doing? It's great to be here.
Great to have you. Just before I give you the floor, I'd like to mention that somewhere in the right corner, you have graphics, a banner, and if you click on the link, then you will find the link to the product of the recent Afshan course, DFIR in AWS, which will be on special discount, 25% for the next couple of hours. And also there is a learning path available, which is a product that combines two of Afshan's courses, one from Hacking and one from eForensics. And they are also available with a discount at a special bundle. So without further ado, Staford, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Bartek. It's great to be here. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Afshan. It's amazing to host this webinar again.
Yeah, it's the second time.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So I do know that your course is DFIR. So, DFIR is Digital Forensics and Incident Response.
Yeah.
People who didn't know, that's the full form for that. Again, like DFIR is kind of like a whole different subfield, right, in cybersecurity.
Yes.
So
it is relatively new in the market as well.
How do you see DFIR, in terms of like, what does it involve? What are the key elements? Obviously, the name kind of gives you a clue, digital forensics, but what does that involve?
In terms of course we are talking about here?
In like first generally, and then with the course as well.
Yeah, in generally, it's a standard practice. We have to preserve evidence. We have to analyze breaches, and that's the reason the digital forensic and incident response is very important in this case. And that is the reason that's the main goal of this course, to teach people the essential of DFIR in the cloud.
Right. In AWS, yeah. We
Yes,
gotta be
in AWS.
Pretty clear about that, right? Because
yes,
and again, it's like identifying and investigating a lot of these cyber incidents that take place, right?
Yes, we have to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was going to ask, like, what do you think is like the role DFIR plays in terms of like how important is it? Like, what is a need for DFIR? I would put it that way.
Obviously, it's very important because we have to detect threats. If we don't have any incident response strategies in place, we cannot even identify any threats and what's happening in our environments, what's happening in our systems, network. So it's very important for us to have incident response and digital forensic in place
Right.
where we can identify the bad guys. Obviously, we have to catch
Right.
them.
Yeah, the threat actors and everybody, right? So,
Yeah.
what can you provide, like, a brief explanation on like what are the modules that your course involves and what you're going to cover in it?
Okay, yeah, sure. Basically, in this course, we have 5 different modules. Okay, the first module is related to a very foundation module of digital forensic, and it is a theoretical module, by the way,
Okay.
where we cover the foundational and overview of key concept in AWS digital forensics, like basics of preservation, like preserving digital evidence and chain of custody.
Right.
And it's a introductory module, by the way. Then we have second module that is related to the basics of incident response, because I really want to cover the foundation first, like what are the core services we are going to utilize in AWS incident response strategy. So we will cover range of services in this module, like CloudTrail, Cloud Config.
Oh yeah. I think it's pretty important too, because like a lot of times, like I always say this is like, until you know how the foundation of something is built, like like
Yeah,
a house, for example, until you know how to build a house from foundation up, you're not gonna know that if you hit the bottom of the house that it's gonna go down, right? You spend
exactly.
all the
Yeah,
time bashing the top floors and it doesn't come down.
yeah.
The basement goes down. So knowing the foundation is really key, and I think it's really interesting that you're teaching that.
Yeah, it's very important. The cloud watch, like monitoring services, automation services. It's really important because we have to build an incident response strategy, right?
Yeah.
And automation play a vital role in incident response. Both Lambda functions, cloud formations, we will cover in this module, and you will see some amazing scenarios as well in this
Awesome.
module.
No, yeah, I was also gonna ask, like, how practical is this course? Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, it is practical course. I have taken examples from the real world scenarios. Like I'm currently working, we have different law enforcement client in my organization. And yes, we are currently working with this criminal law firm, and they have different, you are working with different people, you're working with different clients, they have different requirements.
Yeah.
And some of them are very advanced, but I have to, just convert it in a simple form and explain it to the people, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. So in terms of like, yeah, you were also continuing with the modules, but before that, I was also going to ask, like, you were talking about CloudTrail and stuff like that. So what are the resources that you think you're going to cover in this course? Like, other than CloudTrail, are you going to go to like CloudWatch, GuardDuty, or like how does that work?
Yeah, like this is my main goal. Like we have to cover the foundational services because monitoring and logging play a vital role, right, in incident response and digital forensic. So this module is basically for the foundational level. We are just setting the foundation first, and then we are moving to the building our forensic lab and digital forensic strategies.
Right. And also, like, obviously, we're throwing quite a bit of words out there, like CloudTrail and CloudWatch and stuff like that. I'm not sure everybody in our audience would exactly know what it is. What is it? Are you gonna go through like the basics of that? Like, to put it simply, like, how beginner friendly is your course?
It is not for the complete beginner. Okay, if you don't know how to launch an EC2 instance, if you don't know how to create an S3 bucket, then this course is not for you. Okay, I'm just saying it out loud. Like this course is not for you. You need to have some basic understanding of Python. You need to have some basic understanding of Lambda function, how YAML script actually work.
Right.
Like I will explain that in my module, but if you have if you have a little bit of understanding of these services, that will be helpful.
Right, I understand that. And yeah, definitely, like having some bit of like AWS knowledge is pretty necessary in terms of
Obviously.
yeah. Because this again, it's like a DFIR in AWS because it's not in AWS. That's a whole different thing, right?
It's a completely. It is not for complete beginners.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. And also, like, so again, like when we're talking about DFIR, it's kind of different in a way from just cloud security per se, right? It's not exactly completely cloud security because digital forensics is kind of like the investigation and incident response and side of things, where
Yes.
your everyday cloud security is more like trying to build the security stuff or like SOC kind of role and things. So how do you think that this kind of DFIR falls into cloud security, and why do you think that both need to work together in tandem?
Cloud security is also a part of incident response because in preparation phase we are already working on different modules, like how we can provide security to our organization. Like we have this people, process, and technology in the preparation phase. So security obviously important in incident response as well. And incident response plan is more like when you are under attack, so what are the steps you will take, right? So it is more like that. It is related to security, but it is like when you have to take real action.
Yeah. And also when you were talking about in the beginning, you threw some like words in, like chain of custody and like digital evidence preservation and stuff like that. Could you explain what like chain of custody means?
Yeah, chain of custody is like a written document, like if we are dealing with how we are dealing with our evidence. For example, let's say if you find the fingerprints on a crime scene, so you need to have that responsible person, like who has collected the fingerprints, right? So you need to write that down. Then we have fingerprints. Now we have to send it to the laboratory. Which laboratory we are sending it? We need to name it. We need to write the timeline of this event, and who is the responsible person who is examining these fingerprints. We need to write the name of that person as well. So this is a very simple form. I'm just giving example.
Right. So it's similar to like the real world investigations in terms of that, is what you mean?
Yeah, obviously, because chain of custody is a legal term, right? And we need to provide these evidence in the court proceedings.
Gotcha.
So obviously, we need to maintain the integrity of the evidence or authenticity of this evidence.
Right. It's kind of similar to how CTF in the real world means like capture the flags, like a game. But then even in cybersecurity too, it's capture the flag modified to cybersecurity, right?
Yes, we can say that.
Similar to that. That's pretty interesting. But also, you were talking about like modules, and you kind of told the first two modules, and I kind of interrupted you. If you could also finish the other modules that are left.
Okay, we were on the third module. So in the third module, it's all about setting up the lab. I have shown two ways, by the way, like how we can securely create our digital forensic lab by using the community AMI. Okay, in the community AMI, we have the SIFT workstation community AMI.
Okay.
It is provided by the team members, by the way. It is from the community. And the second way is I'm showing you in this course that how we can convert the SIFT.ova file to the Amazon AMI. So the whole process, and how you can set up your OVA file to AMI. So I'm currently, I have also converted Kali Linux and Rumnex for my personal projects.
Wow, that's pretty interesting, because it takes a little bit of learning curve to do that, right?
Yes, and it is all,
Yeah, no, I was also going to ask, like, converting AMIs and stuff like that as well. But how do you kind of, does this work within like the free tier, or is it kind of like, people, like, how do the students work with that?
No, it is,
of course.
It is under free tier, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, that's good, because not everybody wants to go to AWS and pay another extra $50 $100 for.
No, it is under free tier.
Okay, that's fantastic.
It's very cost effective lab.
Yes, that's what we want. That's what we need. But continue with the modules. Yes,
and the fourth module is related to incident response strategies. for preventing the common attacks. Okay, in that module, I have covered the evidence integrity monitoring, and different scenarios I have covered, like how to set up an Active Directory on EC2 instance, then how we can protect our Active Directory from the brute force attack. Okay,
Right.
like what are the strategies we have to protect from brute force attack? Then
Gotcha.
I have also recently added this video that like how to set up the Splunk environment and how to use the CloudTrail log and analyze them on Splunk.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's pretty. I think also like Splunk is used by almost all organizations, especially like I'm working like in the workforce in cybersecurity industry, and a lot of companies use Splunk. A lot of organizations use Splunk for querying, for alerts. And the thing about
yes.
Splunk is again, like it's kind of like there's a learning curve, but if you kind of get over that, it's really informative. Especially for DFIR, right?
Yeah, Splunk play a vital role, the cloud. Like you can easily migrate your CloudTrail log to Splunk.
Right.
It is also there.
Right.
But yeah,
Just
Splunk
click
play a
on
vital role.
and it sends it there.
Yeah, you can easily analyze what's happening in your AWS environment. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and go ahead with the final module, I believe.
Yes, your final module, obviously. Final module is related to automation, like how we can automate incident response and forensic. And in that case, in this module, I will have this, scenarios where we can set up, like how we can automate the digital forensic setup using the CloudFormation template. That is the one demo. Then second demo is related to some simulating real-time threat, like I have created this payload and we will run it on EC2 instance, and then through automation, we will isolate the system. We will remove the IAM policies, like whatever attached to that
So
EC2 instance.
you got like a whole playbook ready for that, huh?
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah, because isolation is very important. When the event occurred, you need to isolate that particular resource from your instance. So you need to have some automation in place. Like if something happened, there are some security measures.
Yeah.
And finally, we will cover the AWS backup service for backing up our EC2 instances.
Gotcha. Okay. And are you also gonna talk about like some security standards in terms of like AWS, how that would help prevent a lot of these attack scenarios and stuff like that?
Yeah, like AWS does offer different AWS security services. Like we have discussed it in our AWS security essential course as well. The Amazon Guard Duty, Amazon Macy, Inspector. These are the services are there for incident response. Like we can utilize these services as well.
Gotcha. And what kind of other materials, do you provide as part of this course? Like, do you have slides or do you have like, other video stuff that you provided with? What is
that? I have provided everything, from notes to presentation, video files, everything. Documentation is very important for me. So you will see the detailed documents.
Yeah, DFIR, especially documentation, man. Like you said, chain of custody, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be proper. Otherwise, like even if one piece of evidence or log is not there, it's gonna mess up the entire investigation.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. You will be held accountable for that. Like who is responsible for this?
Yeah. And another thing when it comes to DFIR, right? Like something that really gets thrown around with people is kind of like the incident response lifecycle, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What is the incident response lifecycle?
Basically, in incident response, what basically we are doing, we are just, detecting and mitigating the threats. It's a basic definition of incident response, we can say. And we have different steps, we can say, in incident response. We have the preparation phase, and it is the phase where we prepare for the worst. We create policies, procedures, and other effective measures to safeguard our data, right? Then we have a second step, I guess it's identification. If incident occurs, so we need to identify that incident, right? What are the services we have to identify the threat? For example, guard duty. After yes, after identification, we need to contain that particular event. Containment basically means to, uh, you know, prevent this threat from further damage. You need to
Yeah.
isolate the system. In this case, isolation is the best example in containment. Then,
Okay.
fourth step, I guess it's eradication.
Oh, okay.
uh,
Get them
yeah,
out.
yeah, like you need to analyze, you need to find out in eradication, you need to find out what is the root cause, right? And you need to remediate that particular threat from your system completely. That we
Right.
can say eradication. And after that we have recovery phase.
Oh, okay. Mm.
And in recovery we need to focus on restoring our systems back to normal. And then we have a very important step, like what are the lessons we have learned, like
Yeah.
where we lack
Mm.
in terms of strategy and stuff, in terms of planning, what
Got
went wrong.
Yeah, this is interesting because like this, I don't know how to put it, but it kind of reminds me of the process involved in like extermination. Because like I live in New York City, okay, and there's
Mhm.
rats everywhere, like
Mhm.
filled with rats, and so we call the exterminator, and the person comes in and like you said, right, the different steps. Like one is identifying what the root cause of everything is, and kind of
Yeah.
what was the extradition step? What did you say that step was?
Eradication.
Eradication. Sorry about that. Yeah, that is the most fun part because then they're not going to come back in, right?
Yeah.
And then lesson learned definitely is important. Like recovery is really important, especially after
Yeah.
I threw all my clothes. I gotta buy new clothes.
Yeah, obviously, what went wrong, what do we, like where
Yeah,
we lack, we need to identify that and
exactly.
in security settings.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting. I really see what this course has, and I think that even in terms of like a beginner in terms of like AWS coming into security, I think this will be really helpful because right now I think the need in the cybersecurity, like cloud security field specifically, is a lot of instant response and is a lot of investigation and maybe even real time investigation, right? Like as
Yeah.
the attack is happening, right? So I think
Yeah.
that it's something that's really really important, and I could say that with 100% certainty that it's really important.
Yeah, security is very important. Like if I see some open position, like for AWS solution architect, they need a secure solution architect who can design a secure system. Same
Right.
goes with the developer position. They want to create the secure code. So
Yeah.
security is everywhere in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And yeah, in digital
And-
forensic and incident response, it's more like a responsibility because you are dealing with the evidence and the justice will be served, right, in the court
yeah.
of law. So you need to have you have this responsibility on your shoulder to maintain the integrity of everything.
Sure. And I'm gonna ask you like this question, which everybody's like probably waiting for. Like, what sets your course apart from every other DFIR course in AWS, right? What do you
I
think
would
your course is
Mhm.
unique?
I would say practical demonstration. It
Okay.
is not a theoretical course because I don't like theoretical courses. I don't like theory.
Yeah.
I like scenario based learning
Right.
and practical approach. And because when you have any problem, you guys can come to me every time because
Yeah.
I'm also working as an instructor, so it's my part-time duty to help my students. So it is
Right.
like yeah.
And again, like learning by doing, I think is the best way of learning. Right. I think we
Yes.
talked about this in the last webinar too, but it's more like the more you learn by doing yourself, because you're kind of in that position where you're like, oh, I tried this, it didn't work, so I got to try this, right? And that kind
Yeah.
of learning puts you into a point where like you've already experimented something, and you're like, yeah, that doesn't work, so I'm going to do it this way. And so I think that's a faster and more effective way of learning too, by
Yeah,
doing stuff.
that's my approach in my personal learning as well. I want to do it by myself, in a practical way.
Right. No, I think that's a really good way to learn, and that's a really good way of kind of like also getting experience before you job market and before you step into a professional role. I think having these kind of skill sets under your bag is something you could also put on your resume, and you could show recruiters that you don't just have like something on paper, but you're actually able to execute your
Yeah,
knowledge.
I 100% agree with you on this. Like, obviously, you guys can use these material on your GitHub profile, upload it on your blog if you want. It's very important to have an online source. Like, you can show it to the interviewer. Okay, I've done this task practically.
Right.
Yeah, it's very important.
That's true. But yeah, I think those were like most of the questions that I had. I'm pretty interested for this course. Excited for what you have to try it out as well. But yeah, thank you, Afshan. Thank you for taking the time to share all about your course, and it's really good. Like the practical part, especially, man, I'm down for that. So yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
So, if anyone from the audience has any particular question to our instructor, the time to ask the question is right now. All right, someone is typing the question. John Sparks asks, where do we find the next course meeting? Actually, the webinars are held with basically every course right now that we are introducing. So as soon as there is a new course, either on eForensics or Hacking or Pentest Magazine, you can expect the webinar or the pre-recorded interview coming up. Arnedo Mendoza asks about the time of the course, how long does it take in general? So yeah, I can say that the duration of the course is about 5 hours, including the practical exercises. And there is one more question coming. And yeah, I think. Okay, thanks. So we're a little bit on the schedule today, so I think it's a good time to wrap up. Thank you so much for your attendance, guys. Thank you, Afshan.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar.
I'd like to thank everyone who attended this webinar. Once again, I'd like to remind you that there is special discount available, and you can get the course DFIR in AWS 25% off, as well as the learning path with AWS with Afshan's courses. And I encourage you to stay tuned and to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. I wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye now. Till the next time.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Have a great day.
Great day.